Finally, sensibility and rankings. Who would have thought? Next, Locked On Bulldogs.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Locked On Bulldogs, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money, monarchmoney.com. More on them in a second. Glad you're here. I am Clint. I am your go-to place to find UGA insight, just like fans always do. We know you're here because you're a first listener, you're an everydayer, and you listen all the way to the final third segment. Glad you're here today. Today, we have two things to discuss. And really, these two things, I'm going to ask a couple questions. One, did logic and reasonability finally win out? I would like to submit that it has. I'm going to give you an updated rankings list that I think is very fair based on a couple of key concepts. Second question I'm going to ask you is this: what in the world is happening to the playoff format? Do we care as UGA fans what playoff format it is? Hint, yes, we do. And is it making college football better? Hint, yeah, it is. And then lastly, what does that mean for Kirby Smart and the Bulldogs going on into the coming years as recruitment, NIL, and playoff landscape changes? First question is this: did sensibility win out? And do we actually have people who care about having integrity as it pertains to rankings? Well, they were forced to because of a couple of key concepts. But yes, the SBI or the SP Plus rankings just came out. And here's a quick little synopsis. All right, we're a couple months out, 3 months out from actually watching college football. We're getting into June, July, and then August comes, and August has some football. Okay, so bear with us. But here's how the SP Plus for this coming year, how they determine their rankings. First, it's snap production coming back. If you had a good team last year and those guys are coming back, typically they're going to get better. They're not going to regress. Typically that happens. So that's a good thing. That's a plus, goes up in that. Secondly, how's your recruiting class? Behind those guys who are stepping up, who are playing, who are coming back, doing good. What have your last 2 or 3 classes done? Are the 2 and 3 classes really poor? Are they bad? Do you have top 5 finishes in recruiting classes for the last 3, 4, 5 years? That's also going to uptick. And then how well you have been doing recently. Go back into a couple years. How good has your production? Not only have you had talent come in the classes and returning production, that's great. You can have guys who are very good returners, but if they haven't had a production on the field that's worth it, then what the heck are we doing? Okay, well, this is the last piece. How well have you performed in recent 3-4 years? If you haven't performed well, that tells me that the coaching staff can get people on campus, but you can't really go ahead and get through to it. You can have highly graded players, but the team as a whole do not have a good product. Okay, that's a quick rundown of the SP Plus. Here's what the fine folks who have stopped trying to be hot take people, stopped being ludicrous, stopped trying to have all manner of nonsense other than those 3 things. And these 3 things are actually, may I suggest to you, very pertinent. Do you have good players coming back or bad players leaving? Yeah, great. Did you retain the good players? Transfer portal hits. Okay, great. How well have you recruited of the players that, if good players left and new people are standing up and the snap count might not be great? In the case of Georgia, offensive line snap count, very low. Wide receiver snap count, low. Quarterback snap count, low. But do you have running back snap count? Low. Do you have people to come in, replace them that are good recruits? And lastly, can you actually win? This is fair and fine. And here's the top list I'm going to give to you. Number 1, Ohio State, as they should. Defending champions. They have a lot of defensive coming back. And they have a lot of good recruiting classes in that time. Number 2, Alabama. I've been telling you all offseason. Many people thought I was joking. Many people thought I wasn't quite serious. Many people thought I was ludicrous. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I am here to tell you, Alabama's for real. Okay? Like, for real. I think they win the SEC this year. Well, we're going to get to that in segment 2 and 3. Hold on, pump the brakes on that and what that means, because will they care enough to win the SEC? I don't know. Good question. Does the SEC win me anything? Number 2 is Alabama. Number 3, Penn State. This one, I guess, I mean, when you play in a weak conference and you're a weak team, I suppose. Number 4, Georgia. Georgia comes back. Offense 8, defense 4th. It's really interesting to me that people don't understand. Georgia has a lot of talent coming back, and they have a lot of talent already in the roster as pertains to recruiting, like top 5 all the way throughout. Georgia comes in at 4. Now, Daniel and I have talked about this before, and we talked about other recruiting rankings and other post-spring rankings that Georgia's at 8, 10, closer to Florida than they are Alabama. This one takes into account talent on the field, which college football is a talent-rich environment. Texas number 5, not number 1 or 2, where people have them. Texas is 5. Notre Dame is 6. Oregon 7. Clemson 8. LSU 9. Michigan 10. Ole Miss 11. Miami 12. Tennessee 13. Florida 14. Honestly, the teams that are jumped up in people's perceived top 25, that according to this are far outweighed up top. Illinois 19. SMU 20. Arizona State 22, Indiana 23, Auburn 25. That seems far more reasonable. Those rankings, I just gave Georgia at 4 seems reasonable. I was fine with the top 5. I don't think we're one of the top 3 teams in the nation. I think those other teams, I think Alabama today is better than us. Ohio State today is better than us without me knowing a lot. And I would actually say Notre Dame today is better than us. I have no problem with Georgia at 4 within that, because what it does is it fairly bases all of those informational pieces straight from the things that actually matter in football. Like, how well have you done recently? How well have you recruited? And are guys coming back? Georgia has not a lot of guys coming back offensive. Good amount coming back on defense. Not a ton, though. Incredible rankings throughout, and they've been successful every single year. And this is what blows my mind as people look at Georgia and rank them 10, 11, 12 post-spring numbers. They're basically saying, well, Kirby can't do it again. Kirby's done it every single year he's been at Georgia, even the lean beginning years in which he did not have. I mean, look at the quarterbacks, look at the offensive line, and look at the defense had some, but not a great deal. Look at when he started recruiting, what happened. And even when he didn't have his guys, look at what he still did. It wasn't a wait till I get my guys. It was I'm doing it and also wait till I get my guys. And so for people to go ahead, well, all the same old tried and true stories. Well, Kirby doesn't have this, and forget that nonsense. Forget that mess. Kirby Smart has the chops, and 4 is right in this list. I think this is the most accurate rankings. You should all trust it as well. I trust it. I like it. Texas at 5, Notre Dame at 6, Oregon at 7. Top 2 teams right now today, in my mind, cannot be argued. The top 2 teams, Ohio State and Alabama. I think today, if you say no, they're not, you're crazy. If you put Texas ahead of those 2 teams, you're crazy. Well, what about quarterback? Alabama doesn't have proven quarterback. Neither does Texas. Neither does Texas. Ohio State doesn't have proven quarterback. Kind of. They got some dudes who know how to sling the ball over there. They got a lot of good recruits. I'm going to come back after this. I'm going to tell you why I think Georgia at 4 makes absolute sense with the roster composition and the snap counts coming back. And then I'm going to ask the question, what in the world is college football doing with this playoff rankings, and should it really matter? But first, these. And these are, in fact, Monarch money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Online shopping, eating out, entertainment. You lose track. Monarch money is your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, spending in one place. Stop managing your money. Start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use just Monarch money. Check your finances, track spending, even plan long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use promo code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com. 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Question 2. What in the world? Why do I think Georgia being at 4 is good and accurate and great? And then what in the world is college football doing at the playoff rankings? Let me start by talking about Georgia at 4. I gave you the top 12, 13 list. I named some other people that are up in there. Some notable other names that fell outside. Florida State 36, Arkansas 38. I mean, these are the tiers. These are the categories. The top 10 has all the blue bloods and all the guys have been recruiting and winning recently. Georgia is one of those blue bloods. And that's where I want to start. We all said last year, that happens every single year. When the polls come out, there is one team who looks absolutely ridiculous, who looks just categorically, what are you doing? How can you make sense of this? You're crazy for putting them in the top 10. And by the end of the year, they're going to be out of the top 10. They're going to be out of the top 25. They're not even going to be a conference contender. Florida State was that last year. Everybody looked and thought, what are they doing? They got boat raced by Georgia. They had a ton declare for the draft, a ton of people. Like, what are we doing? Turns out everybody was right. This year, if you want to look at the top 10 from this, and Georgia at 4, the top 10, Ohio State, Alabama, Penn State, Georgia, Texas, Notre Dame, Oregon, Clemson, LSU, Michigan. Of those teams that you look and say, who's going to be outside the top 25 of that list? Who would it be? Notre Dame? No, I think they're really built, and their schedule allows for them, really built for longevity. Oregon? Maybe. Not out of top 25. Clemson? Possibly. They got 3 killer defensive guys, quarterback who could be doing something. LSU, that's the Brian Kelly effect. Michigan, that's because people want to get off the sinking ship before it takes them with them. But I think the top 20, the top 10 of this list, not of people's, here's where I'm going to rank them, has the greatest chance of not seeing one of these people, one of these teams fall outside the top 25. And that's why I think it's my answer. I think Georgia at 4 is there because they know the people coming back, snap counts matter and quality of snap, not just snap counts, but quality of snap counts. Those who are coming back were major contributors. And Georgia has 2 starting corners, a starting safety, starting linebackers, interior defensive linemen who are all bringing back not just reps, but high quality reps. The guys that were soft underbelly of the defense are gone. Edge, problematic. I get it. Butkus Award winner, problematic. But the people who are coming back, high quality snap count. Offensive side of the ball. I'm not going to say high quality snap count coming back. Monroe Freeling, Ernest Green coming back. They are snap counts. Interior offensive line, no snap counts. Wide receivers, no snap counts. Tight end, some. Quarterback, well, the snap counts he had were quality. Running back, Frazier, quality. They were contributors. Ernest Green and Monroe Freeling are the 2 outliers of all the names I just listed, offensive defenses that are coming back, that did that. That's fair and great. Now you could say that's a lot of positions, 8, 7 on the offensive side that are giant question marks. Okay, defense, edge, pretty big question mark. Safety, 2 safety. KJ Bolden playing that, like I said, star, high safety, low safety, box safety. Okay, Clint, what happened there? Well, that's when you go back and you look at the recruiting class, and we can go down the list every single time. Kirby Smart is definitively the best recruiter in the nation. And he's getting kids now. The Jared Curtis news is, again, I can recruit not only outside of NIL, but within NIL, and I'm fine with it. Okay, he can. You can go to the Canes for $5 million if you want. No one, that's not recruiting. That's buying. And you could do that. No problem with that. Kirby Smart doesn't want to do that because that's bad business. In the long term, you're going to inflate every single penny that you have. So, top 5. Okay, great. Got those. Success. Yep, he'll win with anybody. Georgia at 4 is fair. It's top 5. It's not top 3. It's not the upper crust. I think the 2 teams, like I said, upper crust. I think Georgia is possibly. Gunnar Stockton hits like we saw him in the final 2 games. If he hits, if Nate Frazier is that Heisman, he's not going to be. But if odds are, that's what Vegas says he should be. Great. He's not going to be. But if he is producing that quality, if the interior offensive line can run the ball, if Kirby Smart and all the pressers he's talking about post-spring says we need to stop the run and run the ball, if that happens, Georgia is absolutely then thrust into the upper crust. The defense, smothering, and run game, productive and efficient. Now we are on the same status in the same playing field as an Ohio State, as an Alabama. 4 is we got questions we got to figure out. I'm fine with it. Question: what is going on with the playoff, and why are some people really upset, and why are some people not upset at all? News came out this week that the playoff format is likely to change, and here's the changes that are coming are really, really unique, because it's not just that they're adding more to the field. That's true. They're adding more teams. Okay, 12 teams, 14 teams, 16 teams. It keeps creeping up. It keeps going up. But the biggest news, I think, out of the whole thing, yes, they're adding teams onto it. Let's just answer that question right there. This is great for Georgia and quite honestly, great for college football. When it was 6, 8 teams being discussed, I hated it. I hated it because then you get into a real slugfest of having to choose teams like Indiana, like an SMU to get in the playoff, and you have to, and they're going to do that because if it was 6, 8 teams, you give 2 teams a bye week and 4 teams play in the first round. If you're going to do that, the imagination of the committee would make them put an SMU in, make them put an Indiana, Illinois in, something like that, and keep out somebody like a runner-up in a ACC contest, right? Or never would they have looked at an Arizona State. In Arizona State, you might, I kind of put them in the middle category. They're not quite Indiana, Illinois. I think they're a tier above them, but they're not quite Alabama, Georgia, clearly. But it makes the committee make really wonky decisions if it was 6 and 8. We get to 14, 16 teams, and now all of a sudden, what you're saying is the regular season still matters because you still can have a TCU type team sneak on. You can still have an SMU. You can still have a South Carolina, in this case, come on in to that situation. So a lot of things change, and now the committee, you're taking control out of human hands that have preferences and are biased, and they're saying, well, we have enough, we have too many SEC teams, maybe we can take 1 out, take 2 out, take 3 out, maybe that's what we do. Stop that nonsense. What you do is you say, yeah, we can have 4 or 5 SEC teams because we have 2, 3 ACC teams. Half the field is from 2 conferences, and the Big 10. Okay, here's how many we're going to pull from them. We're going to pull 4, 3 from them. Okay, Oregon, Ohio State, and kind of and Notre Dame's. And you don't feel this pressure to have this equalization of representation across all conferences. It favors Georgia because Georgia's going to always be a top 4 SEC team as long as Kirby Smart's there. If we're not one of the top 4 teams in the SEC, something has gone horribly wrong in Kirby Smart's life. This should be good. I'm going to come back and I'm going to ask the question, but is ranking more important? What happens to conference games? And are people ruining college football? I ask that question and answer it next. Locked on Bulldogs. Okay, the question that we ask is this. Not only do we get more teams in the playoff, but the committee has also said, or the powers that be have said, we're also not going to make people who win conference champions get automatic top 4, top buys, top seeds, and make it onto the second round. If you win a conference championship, you're automatically in the field. So many people look at this and you'll instantly recognize it because it's instantly the same exact situation that college basketball has. College basketball, you win your conference tournament and you don't automatically go to the number 1 seed in a bye week of your side of the bracket. What you do is now you jump in to dancing, which is fair and fine. You should. It should be a reward for winning the SEC. It shouldn't be a reward for the entire season being sleepy and all of a sudden coming in at the end of the year to a couple of games in which you catch heat and got all the way to a first round bye. Now, SEC championship is not a you lackadaisical all year and kind of sneak in. You have to be one of the top 2 teams in one of the hardest conferences in all America. I get that. But I'm actually fine with this. I actually like it. I'm okay with it. It's taking out here. Now, here's the reason I think fans are really mad about it. Because what it's doing, it's not ruining college football. It's ruining college football for people who think as fans, you know more than everybody else. It's taking away your right, your privilege, or your self-perceived right, I should say, of saying, well, clearly I know better. Clearly my eyes are better indications than everybody else's. And I think fill in the blank, this team should be in. And it just makes controversy. Fans are upset because the controversy goes from their couch to the field. Now, all of a sudden, you can say, well, I don't think Illinois should ever be on the same category, the same plane as Auburn, let's say. It's like, okay, great. Let's see it. There's no more hypotheticals. We don't have to go, well, BCS was just fine. No, we're going to get, and this was always the goal, get as many teams as possible out there and stop playing the game of Georgia doesn't get the playoff because we lose the end of the year, the SEC, somebody else gets in and we go, well, we would have beaten every team. Nope, we're still in. We lost the SEC championship. That's fine. We shouldn't be in the top 4. Daniel and I, when we lost, should not have been in the top 4. Still claim that, still to this day. But now we look at it and we say, hey, we're in. We lost the SEC championship. We shouldn't have made it. It should have made it 4, but we could make 16. And we shouldn't be in the top half. Other teams that won their conferences, maybe not automatic bye, but maybe they should be 6, 7 ahead of us. I got no problem with that. I got a big 10 winner who has 2 losses is ranked 7 and Georgia's ranked 8th because we lost the SEC championship game and have 2 losses on the absolutely. I have no problem with that. Maybe lose 1 game and then lose the SEC championship. What college football has done is taken the controversy off the couch and onto the field. And I, again, quite frankly, I'm okay with it. Pageantry is not lost on it. Many people saying, well, the championship game doesn't matter. No, it still matters. I hinted at the beginning, the first segment, I said, Alabama's going to win the SEC championship. And then I thought to myself, maybe they won't have to, because maybe they will just go ahead and say, we've locked up the SEC. We're heading to the SEC championship. And we have no losses on the year. We've run the gauntlet. We don't have to win this championship to make a first. We're the 1 seed. We lose the SEC championship game. We're going to go down to 4 seed especially if we're playing somebody who is 4 or 5, right? So let's say Alabama plays Georgia in the SEC championship game. Rematch, regular season. Alabama is ranked number 1 because they beat us at home in Athens, and everybody's mad as all get out. And then we win the SEC championship. Now our only loss, let's say we beat Texas, we lose to Alabama. Our only loss in the season's to them. Alabama's 1. We're 5. Now all of a sudden, Alabama's looking going, they're not kicking us out of the top 4. Would you as a coach say, well, I have no incentive to win this championship game because I'm already guaranteed a bye. I'm already in. Why do I want an SEC championship, and why don't I just get more rest? And we'll go out there and play, but Georgia has more to play for. Georgia wants to have a top 4. Now all of a sudden Alabama goes to 4, Georgia maybe goes to 3. They both get first round buys. See, what changes, not the SEC game becomes irrelevant. What it means is if there's a clear, it does its stated goal. If there's a clear, definitive runaway winner, Alabama beating Georgia on the road and running the gauntlet in the SEC. I don't care with 16 teams. If this was 4 teams, if this was a shorter field, I would care. But with a larger field, I don't care about Alabama getting one of those buys. They have clearly shown themselves to be one of the top 4 teams in the entire nation for the entire year. And I no longer have a problem with them getting a bye. Now, you may say, no, you have to win on the field. They did. Georgia has to redeem that. And I like if Georgia wins that game, they get bumped up into the top 4. And see, it's all within an absolute threshold of responsible poll making, field making judgment. Before, when it was 6, 7, 8 teams being discussed, 4 teams to 6 to 8, I did not like it. Now, 12, 14, 16, as it keeps creeping up, I'm fine with this. It's okay that the SEC game and rivalry games are shifting and moving and changing. It's okay. There was a time in which you didn't know, and a coach from Boston College was never going to get a hold of tape from a kid in Oregon. There was a day and time just like that. If you were an Oregon Duck and you played USC every year, or you were in Nebraska and you got to play Miami one year, I remember being down in Southern California and watching Nebraska guys come on out to play USC, and it was this wild experiment. It was this wild, because it was all native Midwesterners and native Southern Cal, and it was a culture class. I'm like, okay, the world is flat. College football is flat. You don't have rivalries anymore because some kids grew up in Nebraska and want to stay home and live just 2 hours down the road from mom and dad and go home for some home cooking every now and then, and they hate their neighbors to the north and Michigan. Okay, yes, that those sorts of pageantry and those sorts of rivalries can still matter. But you have kids going from Miami to Southern California, kids from Southern California going on over to South Carolina. You got kids from Georgia possibly staying at home, but possibly going up to Oregon as well. Like, you get a kid from Missouri going to South Beach. Like, this has become so regular that rivalries are disentangling themselves from each other by nature of these teams don't hate each other as much because they're not growing up hating each other, because they're not growing up in the state. They don't know. It's a learned culture experience. So as much as we want to say the SEC matters, the SEC is becoming a brand, not a location. Sorry. I hate to admit that. It's becoming a brand and not a location. And the games will shift and the rivalries will shift, and everybody will go ahead and make different determinations based upon that. And if you don't like it, there's no way of going back. The genie's out of the bottle, and there's nothing that could take us back. Sorry. I hate to admit it. I hate to tell you. But it is what it is. We're going to come back next week. Daniel's going to be with you guys. He's going to have a lot more questions loaded and locked up as we head into the summer, to the off season, and we think to ourselves, what in the world is Georgia preparing for themselves as we look forward to fall camp, summer camp, people say, of how Georgia can get back up on the throne in 2025. I'm Clint. This is Locked On Bulldogs, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'll see you guys then.